bloom in spring. Tell me who gives the air that you breathe. Ooh. Everything that you need he will provide, so you may as well come on and give him a try. 'Cause he's awesome. Ooh, he's awesome. He's awesome. What would I do without him? Couldn't make a move without him. I don't wanna be without him. He's awesome.
What's up, ladies? Welcome to ZMR Ministry. My name is Pastor Z, and y'all know what today is. It's Friday, so you know tonight it's time for Girls Talk. Now, you know on Fridays we be talking about some for real stuff that we all be thinking and we talk about with our girls, but tonight we talking about something that, you know, I'm just a little curious about. And it's called, is gray the new bae? Now, I want to talk about whether we, you know, the idea of dating older, does that mean more security for you? And so, you know how we are so infatuated now, especially on social media when you got the dudes, you know, they suave and they got the gray beard and you like, hey, Zaddy. You know what I'm saying? He like, how you doing? And so, of course, it's a big, I wouldn't even call it a fad because I don't want to offend the guys because they, you know, to them it's their trend. But, you know, a lot of ladies, we now looking to the side like, okay, I'll date a little older. I see you. You don't look your age. You still got your loins, you know? And so, I see you, boo.
You're not supposed to see the loins.
Y'all bear with me. Y'all know I'm crazy. So, you know, I got my girls with me. Y'all know Bridget. I got my girl Mia. And we got Kisha. So, y'all, come on. First of all, what's y'all dating type? What's the age range? Let's talk about that first before we get into if it's the new bae. Now, let me give a disclaimer. Mia, you know, I don't know if she disclosing it. She got a situation going on. She in a whole ordeal. She got a boo.
Hey.
So, boo, if you watching, she just giving her input. She ain't cheating or nothing. Come on. And if she was, we weren't going to tell you. No, I'm just all right, Kisha. Come on. What's your dating preference when it comes to age?
It's not the gray, sorry.
Okay.
It's more younger.
Mm-hmm. Now, Kisha, how old are you? So we can understand what's younger.
43.
Hey, y'all see that black don't crap, brown don't frown, So what's younger, Kisha?
Not 40. Probably like I've done really young.
Mm-hmm.
Really young. Really young.
Right. Kisha.
Are we talking Jada and August young?
Oh. Kisha said, don't be rude.
Listen, okay. That's my business.
Okay.
Don't worry about mine. Just pray for you.
I'm dead. Mia, now I know you're in a relationship right now, but overall, you know, what is your age preference?
Definitely older, but not like generational older.
Explain it, Mia.
Like, you can't be in my mama's generation. Like, I can't have y'all sitting there conversing and talking about your childhood with each other.
Right.
That's not gonna work for me.
You and my daddy can't be talking about our class reunion.
You can't be doing that.
Yeah, that
So I could do a good 5 years. I even would consider 10, you know, just depending on the situation. But when you start looking at a generational gap,
Right.
I'm not gonna be able to do that.
So my personal preference, I don't typically date young, right? So the youngest I dated was a year younger than me, a couple of months younger than me. But where I am now in my life, I'm like, I'm gonna need somebody older because that just ain't worked for me, right? And it's not to say that, you know, if a young one came along, I wouldn't be interested. What I mean by young is maybe in the last 5 years. I'm 38, right? And maybe around 33-ish. But even then, you know, I think I'm lying. No, I think you are too. I was trying to convince myself.
You're definitely lying.
Yeah, I'm not going that young. I'm gonna need older. Yeah. Bridget,
Well,
her daddy.
no, because my daddy is in his 70s.
Baby. 80s.
Okay, but he looks amazing for his age.
He does.
I love you, Daddy. Yes, I'm 36, so I know I'm in the range of 20s up until the oldest has been in 50s.
Yeah.
So you know, as long as you don't really look your age, and when I say you can keep up with me, then I don't mind on the age.
What do you mean
number.
keeping up?
When I say keeping up, it's like if I'm going to the gym,
Okay.
you can be in the gym too.
I had to make sure. I was like, wait a minute.
No secrets.
What you talking about?
That's how business.
Oh, man, right?
You was just like, you're my business.
I mean, you know, he dirty about his loins with truth.
I mean, yeah, I'm 36, so I mean, you can't be like when we were talking about, was it Anna Nicole earlier?
Yeah.
You can't have one foot
Yeah.
in the grave.
Mia said one foot in the grave and the other one on a banana split.
Banana peel.
Banana peel.
Yeah, you can't.
Disrespect.
You can't be there. I still need to have some little life, you know, left in you. So yeah.
Left India. Y'all hear that? You tell me she been dating somebody old.
I'm glad that's how it be left India.
So now that we know our ages and our age preference in dating, why is that? Like, what exactly are you looking for?
Oh, me?
Anybody? I just started with you.
I'm just continuing.
Yeah, you started.
I mean, honestly, no, all jokes aside, I just been, whatever God had for me. Because as I get older, my preferences have changed.
Right.
A lot. I never thought I could date someone that was, you know, in their 20s, but I did. I dated someone that was about 5 years older than I.
How was that? Income.
Not that.
What are we drinking for today? I mean, I'm just saying. Not that.
Okay.
I'm saying like, Kisha was like, wait a minute, what show is that? No, I'm asking like in comparison to dating somebody in their 20s and then somebody 5 years older.
You know,
was there a difference?
No.
Wow.
It really wasn't. Both of them, my thing is communication, and both of them had a hard time communicating. So to me, it doesn't matter your age, it's the person, it's the individual. But both of them pretty much had some of the same similar characteristics.
Yeah.
And so that's why, you know, I'm sorry, I moved. The age doesn't matter for me, really.
So the similar characteristic she's talking about is they're a man.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Mia. Now you got a man, so don't get yourself in trouble, but you know.
I'm not. Let's see. For me, I found that dating older just worked with my personality because younger or and even older, if they're not settled, when I mean settled, they settled in their career, they settled financially, they are settled in their maturity,
right.
Or you're just gonna have the same situation with the same characteristics of a 20-year-old and a 45-year-old. So, you know, but for me, older worked with my personality because younger ones or people my age tend to be very intimidated. And so when they ask me a question, even though I'll joke and play and everything like that, and I don't tend to talk about my background and stuff like that because it intimidates people. And so when it finally comes out, what I do or what my educational background is, or you know what I do in ministry or whatever, and it's like, and so I actually had a guy tell me, I don't think I'm of your caliber.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for me, older just means more established, you're stable, and for where I am and where I'm going, I absolutely have to pair up with somebody who is stable mentally, stable, you know, in their health, stable financially, you know, stable workforce. Just I can't pair up with somebody who's just unstable.
Right. Which is why the subtopic is, you know, does dating older mean more security?
No.
Which we definitely we ain't there yet.
Oh.
Dang, she having flashbacks. No, she looked at the camera.
I know.
Maybe
Yeah.
that. So for me, I think my preference now is older because I've dated guys my age, and like I said, my age was a year younger, a couple of months younger, and it ain't working. Yeah. And I think because of where I am, you know, being really light years ahead because of how I was raised and just because of my mental capacity, I found it hard in those relationships. I was always having to minimize myself. And I was like, you know, if that's the case, then maybe I need to get somebody that's, you know, where I can glean from. I remember in one of my relationships when it ended, I mean, I've had 2 relationships since I was grown, so I ain't gonna say which one of y'all it is, but pick one. One of y'all don't know. But I remember when it was towards the end of our relationship, and I asked him a question. I said, so what have you learned from me through this whole relationship? Oh, wow. And we were in the car, and he went on, and he was just talking, and I was listening. I was like, okay. And he was like, so what you learned from me? And it was like crickets. And so, of course, our big argument ensued from that point because it was like, you didn't learn nothing from me. And I was like, you want me to lie? I mean, you know, I didn't want to lie. And so I think where I am now, especially being single so long, you figure yourself out. You really learn yourself, what's going to work for you and what doesn't. I'm like, I'm going to need somebody.
Of course.
I'm going to need a zaddy. Go ahead, Bridget.
Well, obviously for me, since I'm still single, the age really getting back. You know, because I have gone younger, I have gone much older.
What's much older and what's younger?
14 years older, 8 years younger. You know, and it all depends on where you are in life. And I mean, that's the same thing. Even the older ones, they didn't realize, you know, at the time when I was talking to someone that I was in my 20s at that time. But people didn't realize that because I was mature from my age. Yeah. You know, so in their mind, at first I was like, I look old. It was like, no, it's how you carry yourself, how you handle yourself in situations is just not for someone your age.
Right.
So it's even the same thing at that time. I would be thinking vice versa, how you carry yourself and handle yourself. That's not for somebody your age. You know, the older ones, you know, that you would be expecting, but a lot of it does come back to intimidation.
Right.
You know, that's there too, and it doesn't really matter the age. It's when someone may feel like, okay, she has all of this going on. What are you learning from me?
Right.
What can I contribute to you because you have this? So it was me talking to my mentor, and I mean, this is here recently, that she just completely opened my eyes and was like, you are financially stable. You are stable in many other places. You need someone that can tend to your emotional needs.
Exactly.
You know, on that side, and it's just someone that can appreciate you and kind of, you know, feed into you on that side because you're being drained on all other levels. And it's just like, you just need someone that can feed into you and can grow you. So, and it's basically, a lot of times, we've had this discussion before, we date potential. And we date what we see that we're constantly like, well, they're going to advance, I can see it, because they do have the potential. Right. You know, they have it, but we see it so much, I guess, in advance of what they can do that we're just like, okay, we're going to keep dating. Versus going after what we feel is important to us and what feeds more into us.
You know, Aaliyah said it best. She said, Agent.
I didn't even know.
I was gonna sing age ain't nothing but a number. Right. Okay, I know those words.
I know.
This love that I got for you, it'll never change. Okay, so y'all know Prophetess Aaliyah, amen? Now, is that true though? Because we're talking about our preferences. Y'all have dated younger. Y'all, we know we dated. I ain't dated older man. Where y'all at? I'm gonna say that. I'm sorry. I felt that.
Yeah.
So it's like you see the dynamics of the range, you know. So when you hear things like that, is that really true?
I think it is. Age is nothing
Yeah.
but a number, and I think that's across all genders. You know, from women and men. It's just a number.
Yeah, but would y'all, and I'm just playing devil's advocate right now. I'm not saying this is how I think, but would you say because they're younger and they haven't experienced certain things, you know, life hasn't taught them certain things, that when you speak on things like your emotional needs, are they really equipped to deal with that?
It depends on what they do.
It depends on the person. Like I said, I dated someone that was older and he wasn't in tune with my emotional needs.
Right.
He totally disregarded them. Right, and the
Mhm.
same with well, for me, the 20-something-year-old, he was more caring. He was more affectionate, a lot more. He wasn't as angry, and that's the thing. Sometimes you think younger, they don't have a lot of experience, but they don't have a lot of the baggage.
Right. That's
Right.
that's good. Can you
That's
elaborate on that?
Well, I mean,
That's
the person,
that's so
he didn't
dope.
have kids, so
Yeah.
he didn't have to deal with baby mama drama. He didn't have to deal with that hurt.
Right.
Never been married. So there were just certain things he didn't have, you know, responsibilities of taking care of the kids, taking care of the house, running this, running that. So he didn't come with those type of wounds.
Right.
And so when I dated someone that was older, he had these unresolved issues. And you know, we all have our baggage, right? And if they're not resolved, but he was bringing it to our relationship. And so I was like, wait a minute. At the time, I didn't have kids, but he had, you know, a mother, you know, he had kids. And so he was angry with her and he would kind of, you know, bring it. I'm like, wait a minute, what is all of this?
Right. Where's this coming from?
Or he had, you know, I dated another guy and the woman is calling me. And so I didn't have to deal with that with someone that was young because he didn't have those issues. I never had to worry about, you got child support payments, or, you know, you got to go get your kids. You know, there are just certain things I did not have to deal with. Not to say that younger guys don't have those issues, but the one that I dated did. He just didn't have those type of wounds. Now, he had others, but not the ones that I was accustomed to dealing with.
And you know, just to piggyback off of what you're saying, it just really validates what you're saying. What I'm about to say is, you can be young with baby mamas and deal with that. So you can be young with baggage and have to deal with that drama. And so it's not just what's the word? It's just not, I guess, typical. There's no typical scenario, right?
No.
Because you can be young and you started young having babies.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay, Mia, what you think?
I mean, I do think that sometimes we as independent, strong Black women are the exception to the rule.
Right.
That's
And
good.
so because we're the exception to the rule, we don't necessarily get the typical type of stuff. So, you know, we can date younger and, you know, then the exception is this one, he does not bring this baggage.
Right.
He does not bring baby mama drama and child support payments and all this other stuff. But
I was gonna say, there's a but.
yeah, if I date older, he's had an ex-wife, he got about 2 baby mamas, you know, then his daddy probably left him 2, then he got all this other stuff that is affecting the communication or what have you. So I think we're the exception, and of course other women like us are the exception to the rule. But I do think to some degree, sometimes age is a number, and it can affect certain things. So we just got to bring it up Aaliyah and singing age ain't nothing but a number, but realistically, when she wrote that song,
she was about 14.
She was about 14, messing with a very grown man, and married that grown man, and her parents had to then step in and get that whole marriage annulled. And that grown man is sitting in jail right now. So I mean, yeah, that was a great popping song. But and we was all singing it with her back then, right? Not knowing. I mean, I didn't even realize that the cover to that song had him on the back. You know, like it was like, wow, he was there the whole time. Wow, this dude really in the background. I was like, okay. But I think that in some scenarios, and this is just my experience professionally and just, you know, just seeing things, is sometimes you look at somebody who's much older and they will identify somebody much younger because they want to be able to control a little bit. And they can't control nothing else in their life. But if they can find somebody who's vulnerable, who may not have advanced, academically the way they wanted to, or may not have advanced financially, or whatever the case may be, and he comes in, or she comes in as somebody who is rescuing them, and all you see is charm and all this other stuff, and you're like, this is perfect, right? This is the perfect person. Age ain't nothing but a number anyway. We good, know? And then it flips. And I've seen that happen in so many abusive relationships because it becomes a way to control and manipulate and get them in the midst of what you want, what that person wants them to do. And I actually had that happen to a couple of people that I know. And one young lady who was I would say she was about 22, 23. She had a son. Her and baby daddy don't get along that well, but then during the time frame that I knew her professionally, she met a guy, and he had kids her age. And I remember she would talk to me about it or whatever, and would always, go up my mind like, well, you haven't finished school yet, you don't really have a stable job, you have to depend on everybody to take care of your son, and this man is in his 40s. What is it that he's looking at you and seeing you and saying, you my wife? If he's an established, whole, stable man, what is it that he wants? And I would ask her little nudging questions just to put some fat on her head, just to let her think a little bit. And at times she would get it, and the other times she didn't. Long story short, they eventually moved in together because after a few months they were in love. And they moved in together and everything. And then once he couldn't control, or she didn't do what he wanted her to do, she didn't cook what he wanted her to cook, then it became get out. And then he kept all her stuff. And again, this is a professional relationship that I knew. So he kept all her stuff. And she was building, trying to establish herself. He kept all her stuff. Now she had to start all over.
Bridget? Jesus, help Bridget. Help her, Lord.
So I kind of, like I said, can speak for both sides. Because I really do think, like Mia was saying, when you look at someone who's older, and even to a lot of times when they're having a conversation, you're talking to someone who's way younger, you haven't had the same experiences. So it's kind of like, where is your common ground? So it is a question, well, what are you seeing in this person? Especially if they aren't able, if politics is your thing, and mean you can't talk about politics, but they may say, oh, she looks really pretty, and he takes her to an event, then they'll say, okay, I see why he's with her. It's just for the looks, and that's it. So you kind of have to question those things as well in regards to, okay, why am I with this person? And I know for myself, just in looking at it, it was more like I learned when I was talking to the younger guys, I was having to teach them a lot of things. To me, for me, where I was just like, okay, you should know that.
Right.
So like,
or you're saying, I knew that at your age, right?
Right. And that's the way I'm seeing it, because I'm just like, okay, when I was that age, I already knew that. So why don't you know that? And then I feel like I'm obligated, and then I get frustrated. Because I'm like, why don't you know that? And then too, you have to go back, and then you have to tell yourself, well, you can't be upset because they haven't experienced that, then you should expect it. But then when you get to an older man and you see that they haven't experienced it, or they don't know that, or that's not what they're doing, you thinking in your head, well, why don't you know that? Because I haven't even made it to that age yet, and I already know that.
It goes, if I can just interject for a second, it goes really to experience is the best teacher, but who's to say when you experience it?
Exactly.
And so if that's the case, then is it true that if some experiences you have not experienced at a younger age, that you lack maturity?
It's what's that saying where it says, moms groom their sons, but they raise their daughters?
Yes.
And so, of course, there are things that when you are dealing with older guys, like you said, you just like, why don't you know this information? Why don't you know that the whites and the colored clothes don't go in the same washer? Why don't you know this information?
Why I gotta tell you to wipe the toilet seat?
Yeah, why I gotta tell you to clean at the bottom of the toilet too?
That's like deeper.
Basic stuff like that. Again, it's just the old adage, they groom their sons, but they raise their daughters. And so we were taught things, and we live in a misogynistic world, we just tell the truth. So things that we were taught at an early age, we were taught those things for a reason. We was taught how to protect ourselves, and then we was taught how to take care of the house, taught how to go out and be a go-getter, get your money, get your paper, get your career, get your education, do all of this. And so by the time you meet a guy, whether they older, younger, whatever, because society has literally pretty much played into what they want and given them whatever. By the time you meet them, if they're not rewired, you'll marry them and they're going to expect you to get up, cook, make breakfast, feed the kids, see them off to school, go to work the same amount of hours, come back home, cook dinner, make sure the house is clean, come in the room, and still have enough energy to have sex with them when you're done.
Right.
And then help pay half of the bills.
And you know what? And hearing that, then it helps people understand that it's generational. Yeah. And that goes back to what Mia was talking about earlier in the conversation. I can date older, but not generational. Because the expectations are different. Right. It's changed over time. The roles have reversed a lot over time. And now it's more like a partnership.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And so it's like when you look at, dating younger, you think of millennials, you think of Generation X, and you like, honey, I can't deal with no Generation X. Y'all a little off. You know what I mean? But then there are some exceptions that's like, no, I'm not there. This is not how I am. And then when we think of millennials, which we fall in that category because it's such a huge, broad. You still a millennial. Okay. It's such a huge range when it comes to age that a lot of I've even heard someone older, like in their 50s, say, I can't deal with y'all millennials.
Yeah, and they usually say it in a real condescending way
Yes.
to say, look, millennials today have full-time careers, they have house notes, car notes, life insurance, health insurance, they got kids. Some millennials even got grandkids.
Yeah.
So, and remember, these millennials today are rebuilding the society and the economic stature that we're in. I think they say millennials and forget there's a whole lot of other generations, and so they group everybody in one big old paintbrush. All y'all millennials, and it's like, no. But the people that came after us, we talk about them, but those were the ones. This is nonpartisan. If you go, this is why I say this. I'm not knocking you if you're a Trump supporter or a Biden supporter. Nonpartisan statement. But it was the generation, after millennials. I can't remember if it was which generation it was called, but those were the ones that had the brain power to jack up the Trump rally in Tulsa. They were the ones that was getting on and telling everybody, go from their TikToks, go online, get yourself a ticket for the Tulsa rally, reserve a bunch of tickets, and they are thinking they have a whole rally full of people, and they show up and it's like, we're all the people. And we're millennials.
Yeah. It wasn't us.
It wasn't us.
Because we feel like we ain't got time for stuff like that.
No.
You know what I mean?
I got the worst one. I got the card note. I got the house note. I got to see my doctor today.
That is it.
So I have to ask the question, is there a double standard? Because, of course, when we see a younger woman with an older man, we say she got daddy issues. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? Right. Like, what are you looking for? Are you looking for your daddy? And then I've talked to some women, they're just like, my daddy always been in my life. I just like older men. You know what I mean? And it's like we automatically tend to think that they're searching for something. Versus if we see an older man with a younger woman, then it's she a gold. Why is it that when a woman dates older, it's always a negative connotation? But even if a man dates younger, it's a negative connotation. But when we see a man date older, you get what I'm saying? Then she's a sugar mama, she a cougar, he using her. It's like no matter how we put it, the woman takes the negative stance. Why is that?
Misogyny.
Yeah,
it's true.
I think it is. But if you want to go biblical, even when they found the woman that was committing adultery, she wasn't the only one committing adultery. Right. They called her out.
Yeah.
She was the main one. She was the one doing it. Now she wasn't in there by herself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's the same thing where we are now today. You know, it seems like if a man has a younger woman, like, oh, he got it going on, you know, something like that. But if we're dating younger, again, we're sugar mama. You know, or something else, and that's that's the way it's.
She needs somebody to take care of her.
Right. That's how it's seen.
I mean, I think a lot of that again is all in our upbringing. We've been, taught that, girls are supposed to be young ladies. You're supposed to sit ankles crossed. You're supposed to not talk loud. We're supposed to act a certain type of way, and you're not supposed to have multiple boyfriends, nothing like that. But guys, guys are supposed to have multiple girlfriends. It's a rite of passage if you have multiple girlfriends. And so you go through all of this, and it's like, okay, why can't you do this, but a woman cannot?
Yeah.
I think the misogyny goes, of course, it way beyond the Bible days up to now. But I mean, we see it in politics, we see it in the church.
Yeah.
We see it in corporate America. My good friend in ministry, she always says, don't say I'm your sister, and don't say you respect the God in me or who I am as a woman of God if you don't go into these same places and say I won't sit up there unless you let my sister sit there.
Right.
Don't tell me that, because you have to be. It's not until the person who is not oppressed advocates for the oppressed that a change comes. And so if you have an advantage and you don't say anything, then you're just as bad as the oppressor.
Yeah. Right. And I think chauvinism is very much alive today.
Of course.
It's very, I mean, we see it, like Mia said, we see it everywhere. And it's kind of, when you think about dating older, even younger, even your age, if it's inbred in you, it doesn't matter what age you are, it's gonna come out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I have to pray and ask God to help me. Because I say stuff, I talk back at times.
She does.
I do. And so I have to ask God for help, because one of the questions that was like nails on a chalkboard for me when a guy asked me, can you cook? I absolutely
Can you tell them the answer you gave when I y'all, please share the answer, because when she had this conversation, she called me right after, so the fumes were still high. And she told me her answer, and I was literally hollering, y'all. Mia, do you mind sharing your answer, Mia? Please share it with the people.
If you ask me if I can cook, my answer is, can you build me a house from the ground up, Paul Bunyan style? Can you build me a closet, the biggest closet, 2-story? I'm gonna ask you those types of questions, because if you want me to fulfill a role that you have in your mind, because realistically we're getting counsel from people who are much older, and the way they ran their marriages is how they're telling us to run ours today. And so, again, I think I said it earlier, if your expectation of me is to get up, cook breakfast for the kids, and you go get them to school, go to work the same amount of hours, if not more, then you come home, cook dinner, clean up, help the kids with the homework, and then get to bed and have sex with you, and then pay half the bills, we have a problem.
Right.
We have a major problem. So I'm gonna ask. You asked me that. I said, well, can you build me a house?
That's real. The standard has changed. You get what I'm saying? And so women don't automatically go into it thinking I'm gonna be a housewife anymore. That was the thing. I'm gonna get married. I'm gonna stay at home with the kids. Husband gonna work. He come home. I got the baby on my breast. I'm cooking. I'm doing laundry. I throw the other baby on my hip. Throw the other baby down. All those things. It's like, why you can't stay at home with the kids? I mean, I go out, and I'm not attacking. So I'm not saying that don't work for you guys. So for the ones that I want to hear y'all in the comments, attacking me.
People who live, that's what they want.
And you make it work for you.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, the standard of what's required has changed.
Right.
And so when we think about the idea of dating older, because back in the day, getting you an older man did mean security.
Absolutely.
It did mean stability. It did mean that you set.
Right.
You okay. So is that still the truth now?
I mean, when you think about Bible days, right? And they would come and they would, ask a woman's hand in marriage and they bring camels, goats, and everything like that to
Yeah.
show
To
their
prove,
security, to prove they can do it,
Yeah.
and to also say if something were to happen to me, here is the security.
Yeah,
right.
And you think about that type of thing, and I'm like, okay, cool. You think about Sarah and Abraham, and throughout, when you read in the scriptures, throughout, she refers to him as Lord.
Yeah.
She refers to him as Lord. And so, you know, for me, I'm like, look, I know my standard of living. And I know what I'm used to. I know what I can give myself without you.
Yes.
Now, if you can match it and exceed it, match it and exceed it.
Yes.
You can match it and exceed it. I still take my trips the way I like to. I still do, you know, get my hair, my nails, whatever the case may be, do whatever. Then listen, I will retire. I will stay at the crib. I will cook what you want me to cook. I will run your bath water, and when you walk in, I will say, yes, my Lord, whatever you need.
I think Kelly Rowland said, he can't buy a ring, I can't buy myself.
Just saying.
That's what she said. And so that goes back to the intimidation factor, right? That some men do date younger because they feel like I have a leg up.
Yeah.
That if you see them date someone their age, it's always challenging. I know a guy who always dates younger. And I mean, we had this conversation. I was like, wow, what is the deal? I never see you with nobody your age, you know? And he was just like, no, younger is better for me. Why? And that was, I mean, we went back and forth, but there was no real concrete answer. And I'm like, you know, is it because there's some insecurity there? Is it because you're unsure? Me like,
That's why people say it out loud.
you know, and I'm like, you know, what is the deal on that? And it's not an attack. I mean, like I said, everybody has their preference.
Right.
But it goes the other way around too. You know, for men, do you date older because you feel like you're gonna be more secure? Are you looking for a cool girl? Are you looking for your mom? Are you looking for somebody to take care of you? Are you looking for nurturing? You know what I'm saying? And it's like it goes both ways. Period. And I laughed at the topic because I was just like, you see it so much on social media. You see this, especially, what was the challenge where, you know, they look in the camera and they, you know, they hide the camera and then they change.
Okay.
You
Yeah,
know,
when
the
don't switch or whatever.
don't rush change.
Don't rush.
Don't rush. You know.
Like don't switch.
I'm like,
we millennials.
So
Yeah, I was like, you know, but I remember they did one where all older men. And I remember I looked at the comments and I'm talking about it was salivating in the comments, like, how old is your daddy and this, that, and the third. And I was like, okay, sis, yeah, I agree. But it was, she's about, I ain't see it. But it did make you look at it like, oh, they have swag, you know, they still this, they still, and you know, we think about when we were younger, men wouldn't show their gray.
Right.
They would dye it. And so now it's like, it's more common, it's more accepted. You want people to know, oh yeah, I'm 50. You know, oh yeah. Right. And so now it's like, okay, did y'all become more attractive?
I think it just
Everybody said
I think as we got older, because we don't even realize that we're as old as we are until we start talking about dating somebody.
Wait a minute, because y'all, we think we still young.
Yeah,
I mean, we are young.
Like,
but, you
what
know.
age? Like, when I think about the fact that I could legitimately date somebody 10 years older than me, and that person would be knocking 50. And look at them, and I mean, like, they fine. You know what I mean? Like, they fine.
Yeah.
Whereas 15 years ago, 20 years ago, I would be like,
No.
Yeah.
And that's the truth, because even to when I was in my 20s, don't let me lie. But I wouldn't date nobody in their 40s or 50s, I would. But it was even, again, at that time, I think for me it was like off the physical attraction. Again, but when you look at the numbers, I was already physically attracted to you and I had no idea. You know, that you were that old. And then it's like, once you find out the age, and like I said, it goes back to it, you might be 15, 16, 17 years older than me. But at the same time, too, when you start looking at, okay, how do they live their lifestyle?
Right.
Okay, what is going on? Do we blend? You know, here, and then it turns into it's just a number. You know?
I think at the end of the day, when you make your decision on who to date, your needs and your wants need to line up.
That's it.
No matter what age they are, because you can say, oh, I date older. I need an older man. But he may be in his head, I'm already established. I'm done having kids.
Right.
I'm done doing this. And here you are younger,
Wanting kids.
womb is thriving.
Right.
And you're like, I want children. I love you. This is that, and the third. And he like, I love you too. And I want to be with you. But I ain't giving you no cheer.
I don't want anymore. I've done that.
You know what I'm
already.
saying? And so, right. And some of them are looking like, I ain't trying to start over. My kids having kids now.
Right.
And so it goes back to what Kisha said in the beginning, communication.
Yes.
You have to communicate your needs and your wants. And even though you're looking at them like you're older, they may have what I need because you're looking at the monetary or the physical things, you know, like, okay, they work out, they stay healthy and this and the other, but everything else is still just not on one accord. Not on one accord. And so when I was thinking about this topic, which Kisha was running from, y'all. Keisha was like, why am I on and me was just like, I mean, what we said, he old? I was like, I'm dead. But it's like, it's so much that goes into it. And honestly, there are a lot of young ladies, because I talk to a lot of young girls who are dating older guys, and I'm like, baby, you don't even know who you are right now. And dude is like molding you.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's
You get what I'm saying? Yes.
That's scary.
Yes.
That's again where all that abusive stuff, control stuff, you know, and sometimes they didn't get a chance to control other areas.
Right.
So now this is a palatable opportunity. You're a blank canvas.
I was
and all
thinking that just
and you
now.
just get an opportunity to really shape and mold it the way they want to.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you don't realize that or know it until you 6-7
Already
years deep into it.
Yeah.
Or
You
later.
know?
Or
And
later.
it could be later, and it's not until you sit back and realize and you start thinking, well, who am I? You know, the whole time because of other situations that may come up. And you start thinking like, who am I? Where am I? I never wanted to be
Right.
this.
And your whole identity is them.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think you can be any age and not know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true.
I mean,
You can be old.
I'm 43 and I'm still finding out who I am.
Right.
Not because of a guy, but because of my upbringing.
Right.
And the lack of not having a male in my life on a consistent basis, not knowing who I am as a woman and how a man should treat me. So I'm still learning that now, because when I was dating older, I had all these expectations in my head of what a good girlfriend's supposed to be, what a wife's supposed to be. So I'm putting all this pressure on myself. Not that he asked for it,
Right.
but I'm like, okay, I need to do this because I didn't have a healthy role model growing up of what a marriage actually looked like. So I'm looking at TV. And I'm like, okay, this is what a wife's supposed to do. She's doing this, she's doing that. So I'm forcing myself to do it, and I was getting very depressed because I could not live up to it because that's not who I am. And he was like, what are you doing? And I'm like, and he was like, I ain't nobody asked you to do all this. But I put that pressure on myself. And so it's just knowing who you are at any age.
Right,
Stopping.
right.
It doesn't matter what age you are. Do you know who you are? Do you know what you like? You know, I'm financially able, I'm stable. I have everything that I want and need. Like Bridget had said earlier, I need someone communicate emotion. I need someone to just meet me emotionally, to listen to me when I come home. You don't have to, I got my own house. So when we would get together, I might just want to lay my head down on your shoulder, things like that. It's not always about money and if you can take care of me, because I can take care of myself.
Right.
But if you're going to come and we're going to, enter in marriage, then yeah, you need to, I would like for you to equally or more, or let's build together.
Yeah.
Right.
But it doesn't, for me, it's not about age, because like I said, I've met guys that were older and younger, and they all had their own little issues. It's just, what are you willing to deal with?
That's it.
In the stage of life that you're in. There are certain things that I just cannot deal with, which I was okay with 10, 15 years ago. Now, no. No. I don't care how old you are.
And so when you think about what Kisha just said about knowing yourself, it lets you know we're all on a continuous journey of discovery.
Yes.
And so who you think you're meeting in this older man and this younger guy, 10 years later, they ain't gonna be that person.
No.
And it's like, who are exactly? It's like, who are you? And so you have to take all of that into consideration, especially when dating older, because around that time they start getting set in their ways, and you like, well, let's just go do this they're
Don't
like,
travel.
right, they're travel right.
Let me know
Come on,
when
let's
you
just
get
watch
back.
a movie. Come on, sit close. And you
Right.
like, no, I don't want to watch a movie. I
No.
want to go and do these things. And so it's like, you have to take all of that into consideration. Or even us, just if we decide to date younger, here we go. If we decide to date younger, you know, they're going to want to do things that we just like,
Go to the club.
child,
No,
look,
yeah.
you know,
Right.
It's like, I can't, y'all go ahead. You know, go and look, go and
I got no Megan these no more.
No.
Right,
I just can't do it, honey.
No. 12.
Right.
right.
And so you gotta make sure even y'all conversation
Yeah.
can be aligned, because it's like you having these conversations and you looking at them and they're talking about stuff that you don't even know what it means.
No.
You don't even know what it means. And so I'm glad we had this conversation because I'm serious. See, Kisha, you tried to run from it.
Listen.
And it was very informative. You helping somebody.
I just don't see the baby y'all see. I just don't see the. I mean, maybe I'm because I'm at Walmart and right, I'm not on social media, so I don't see. So I'm sorry, I'm still thinking of older as got
From back in the day.
and
Right, with the
you know, got
sandals.
sandals size. That's what I'm saying.
Generational.
But it's some in, some in their 40s. It's like this.
It's
Every
walking like that too.
men are able to forgive themselves for their physical flaws.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are not.
Yeah.
We have a hard time with that. But I was just thinking about something y'all were talking about in terms of being financially stable, just stable, and you need somebody to meet your needs emotionally. And that's all very true. But I think the big thing when it comes to dating older, or dating older guys or what have you, this is where a lot of struggle comes in, is when we remember, the church teaches us how to be single, and then the church teaches us to be, found as wives and stuff. They'll never teach on and train on husbands and stuff like that.
Right.
They don't touch on that. Right. But when we talk about really the Proverbs 31 woman, the Proverbs 31 woman had property, she had money, she had, housemaids, and she was going into the city and commanding things or whatever. And the Bible says that her husband was known because of her.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Come on with the Bible, man.
That's what the Bible says.
That's what the word
He was
says.
known because of her.
Yes.
And so, a lot of the times, again, my little sarcasm, when they I want a Proverbs 31 wife, and I say, well, do you have the ability to be a Proverbs 31 husband?
Mm-hmm.
And so, and if you can't because your intimidation and your
Right.
insecurities is set up a certain type of way, we're going to have a problem.
Right.
That's true.
And and the reality is, not talking to the guys who may be watching who are like, I don't care, because I had a conversation with my friends who were on a previous What's the Issue episode, and he was saying, the roles have definitely reversed in their marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, I don't mind being Mr. Brittany.
Oh,
I don't care that people look at me and say that. He's
Right.
like, because I know what we have invested. I know the journey that we've, endured, and I know where we are.
Right.
He was like, so at the end of the day, I said, if you're winning, she's winning. And if it's about the unit.
Mm-hmm.
And some people can't separate the two.
Right.
They just can't. And so when I think about, the material things, I remember I was having a conversation last year and I was talking to some people and I said, stop looking at what they have in relation to yours. Mm-hmm. Because if you're looking at, well, they have a big house, I just have an apartment, and they got a Bentley, I just have a Honda, and they got a chef, I got, Miss Bears or whatever else, and they got they got Gucci, and I just have Hoochie, and they got this, you get what I'm saying?
Right.
Whatever it is, I'm like, stop undermining what you have.
In your worth.
Because when you think about financially secure and stability, you are secure on your level.
Right.
Do you get what I mean? I may not have all of that, but baby, she ain't walking, she ain't hungry, she got a roof over her head, and I'm good. So don't allow people, whether older or younger, come in and make you feel like that I'm not on your level because you're more secure. What you feel is secure, and they may have all these things, and they at home crying in their bed, delirious. They don't know who they are. They like, I'm 65. I thought I was 12 because they still reliving trauma from their childhood.
Yes.
Like, what, Mia? I'm serious. All of that stuff is like, I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Listen.
That's cognitive stuff right there.
but mentally, emotionally, spiritually, they messed up for real.
It has nothing to do
And even younger, you know, you may look at somebody younger and say, well, they're not established, they don't have this yet, they don't have that yet, but they are light years ahead when it comes to their psyche, their mental, their spiritual, their intellectual, all of those things. Some people are just mature.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't need the experience, and experience does teach. Not saying that, you know, they don't go through things in life, but some people, you just meet them and they are way on another playing field, you know, at a young age. So it's like, take the time to get to know people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't fall into what made me come into this trend. Me and Bridget talk about it all the time, because you know we be checking out some bays online. I be like, what? You know, we be screenshotting. Don't get it twisted. The Pastor Z screenshots, okay? Screenshots intended. Amen. But I'm like, you know, at the end of the day, you have to be careful.
Yes.
With who you dating. You have to get to know them. You have to know their wants and be real. Don't just look at the outer appearance like, okay, well, they are more established and they are more this and they are more that. Like, look beyond all of that and make sure, okay, this is what I need. This is what I bring to the table mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Can you match that? Because I don't need to be you at home in the corner crying, and then I'm sitting in the corner with you. No, boo. No, I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you GREY the new bae or you got baby hairs and you in your 20s. Like, it's like, it doesn't, what? Mia, I don't even know why I sat by her. She gets on my nerves, y'all. But it's the truth. And I wanted to talk about this because I've seen the ongoing trend, especially on social media, where you see these guys and they grayed out and you're like, ugh, don't cut the goatee. Yes, with the salt and pepper. Don't dye it. Oh my God, hey, Zaddy. And all of these things, you know, I've seen it all, and it just, I'm telling you, hey. It became kind of comical to me because I found myself like, oh, okay, I see you, boo. I see what you're doing right there, sir, with the bow tie. Okay, you know? But it didn't make me just say, oh my God, I want to date. I have to date older. Right. And it's like, you know, I wanted to talk about this because I know I would read the comments and I'm just like, y'all, push past that gray beard.
Yes, because, listen, what he have on, because as soon as he turned the camera on,
I'm telling you, just as insecure and crazy.
And that's something at the end of the day when we talk about security.
Yes. I'm sorry.
No,
fragile.
No, and that's I'm dating fine. Had it going on, but
Listen.
fragile.
And that's the thing.
And off.
When you off.
I'm sorry.
And when you say security, you know, I think it goes both ways. You say you got to be secure in yourself first.
Yeah.
Because if I'm insecure and I link up with another insecure person, then we're gonna be insecure, like she says, sitting in the corner and pointing fingers and everything else. But if I'm insecure and I hook up with a secure person, they're gonna get tired of my insecurities.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same thing. And when you're looking at someone, just take in mind, we didn't learn anything from this pandemic. Tables turn real fast.
Yes.
So just because you had it, don't mean you will always have it. So my question is, if I don't have it, can I count on you to be here when I don't have it? If we both don't have it, can we both count on each other to pull each other through until we can get it?
Yeah.
You know, so it's that type of security that you may want to look at. If I'm not here spiritually, are you going to be able to pull me back up spiritually? Because tables turn quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, things change by the minute right now.
Mm-hmm.
1 minute we got it, next minute it's gone. You
Yeah.
know, so it's not an age type thing. You know, it's what's in you and what is instilled in you.
Yeah.
What's securely in you that you can get. Age, that's, you know, when it goes back to age really doesn't mean a thing.
No. She said,
Yeah, he you just say
Mia, look.
Wait.
I'm with you. Listen.
and he mentally right.
Yeah.
And he's stable. And he got a stable financial.
And
And
the
the loins are strong and mighty.
strong.
You know, I mean, if he has all of those things, mentally stable, physically, financially, got a 401k, a pension, retirement, you know, all that other wonderful stuff. Then I would say the all, what is it, GREY is the new bae? Security? Absolutely. Absolutely. If he not looking for, you know, you to fill in some gaps, if
Right.
he not looking for a way to, you know, trap you, because men do trap people too.
Yes.
If he not looking for a way to control and vice versa, you know,
Or start over.
or start over.
Because
Yeah,
you
that
know
type
some
thing.
of them want a younger woman, but
Yes.
they done messed up with their kids.
Yeah, they
gotta
gotta redeem
redeem
themselves.
Right, so they like, I'm gonna go get somebody. We gonna raise a family. Now you gotta
Yes.
deal with their grown kids,
Right.
insecurities,
And all
and
that issue. That's why I said mentally healthy,
Yeah.
physically healthy, financially healthy.
Yeah.
Then you struck gold. That's
Yeah.
great. You know, that's wonderful. I mean, what I will also say though is a lot of people that I know, when they really do find the true person that they are supposed to be with, is really opposite of what their preference
Yeah,
is.
Right.
all the
You know,
time. Yeah.
I will say that for years, my preference got me in trouble.
Definitely.
Yes.
It did. I'm sorry. I was agreeing with you. I thought
She said a little
I thought it was
strong.
She did say that a little strong. My initial preferences, you know, that they were just not good for
It
me.
ain't work.
They just were not good for me
It
at
ain't
all.
work.
We know, Sonya. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But once I opened up a little bit to, you know, other possibilities and not just being tunnel vision on this is what I like. Gotta look like this. Gotta be this. Gotta. Once I open up that tunnel vision, you know, and then you can start seeing some more healthy picks out there, healthier choices.
Was that it? That was the ending?
I mean, I'm waiting on the one because Bridget sitting there looking like
That was good.
No, one thing I will say is now that I'm getting older, like I said, I'm 38 and I'm single with no kids. I've never been married. And
somebody please inbox her and DM her and take her out.
I'm just kidding. I used to say all the time, I won't date guys with kids. And now that I'm older, it's not because I would hear all the time, Zanya, you getting older, you know, people are gonna have kids, and then I'm like, just like I'm 38 with no kids, there's somebody else out there.
Of course.
But now when I consider dating older, you know, now that I understand that's a factor, it's now turned into, baby, that kid's grown. They ain't got nothing to do with me.
Right.
That
situation
Listen, we ain't arguing about no child support, ain't arguing with your child's mother, ain't doing all of that. Y'all grown, go live your grown life and don't worry about what's going on with Chimp. You know, so it's like over time my view of dating older changed. And my view of just, you know, dating period has changed because you go through, you know, just ups and downs of singlehood and all of that. You really start learning yourself. But I'm so glad y'all ladies like joined in on this conversation. I'm telling y'all, Kisha was running. She was like, I don't want to talk. Why I got to talk? She was like, she had a whole attitude.
We're gonna talk about.
She was like, oh, dear, I date younger.
What? Again.
Whatever the Lord has for her. See, there it is.
God, whatever you want. That's a lie.
That's not the
You know, the Lord knows my heart and He gives me
Right.
the desires of my heart.
Amen.
So He's going to give me what I.
According to His will.
Yes, according to His will, and He will not be 76. He will grow old and be 76 together.
Amen.
But
He may get there first, but
not too much.
not that
You take it. You got 76.
That's okay. I'm good. But I'm so glad you ladies joined me in engaging in this conversation because I have seen it as an ongoing trend. And it was just like I just wanted us to dialogue about it because I'm sure there are women who are watching and they have fell into the fad of gray is the new bae. That's bae right there. That's zaddy.
You know what's funny is that those are younger women. The women that are closer to bae age.
Some of them older.
Oh, really? Because the closer you get to bae age, you be like, that's how you're supposed to look.
Right. You're supposed to be great.
You're supposed to be looking like that. You know?
And look past, let me not get started, honey. Look past these gray beards because they be just as off.
That's
And
what I'm trying to tell you.
They be putting
and cuckoo, and you just see these
Wait, now they
women.
have the weed for men, girl.
Yes.
The whole
the
pack.
spray,
Girl.
the weed.
And it be the outline of chalk,
Yeah.
whatever that white stuff
Because you know
is.
that her growing nappy. You know, if it's all pretty.
Quit plan.
Okay, and ladies, just like y'all got filters, they do too.
Exactly.
And they use them.
Yes.
They use them, so don't fall for it. I'm gonna do like my homeboy said. He said everybody needs to jump in the pool when y'all first meet. He was like, that's when we're gonna break the ice. We're going swimming our first date. So whatever it is going on with your hair, your lashes, your chin hair, whatever it is, I'm like, everybody needs to know what's going on. So if you go in the pool with a beard and you come out without one, then I know you wearing lace fronts on your face. Okay? That's not acceptable. We're gonna have to move on. Yeah. There will be no second date. But thank y'all for engaging in this conversation. Ladies that are watching, I know we joked, I know we laughed, but there are some of you who are watching this like, okay, let me not look for security in a man, in anybody. Let me find security not only in myself, but in Christ first. So I know who I am. So I'm not looking for those voids to be filled by another person, for those voids to be filled by something that's artificial, that I have made, alive, or even an idol in my life, and it's not realistic. And so don't fall in the trend of just looking at appearances, because there are deeper things that we need to get into before you need to or decide to engage into a relationship with anybody, whether your preference is dating younger, whether it's dating your age, whether it's dating older. Consider all those factors that we gave y'all in this conversation, from older to younger to I got a boo babe, honey child. You know what I'm saying? I ain't met him yet, so I'm like, y'all ain't married yet. We still out, okay, with the jewelry. We still out on the jewelry with that. But no, I just wanted us to engage in that, so us ladies won't get caught in another entanglement or situationship that you have to be healed from. I'm serious, Bill laughing at entanglement. That you won't have to be healed from, that your friends ain't got to nurse you again and be like, girl, wake up. So is GREY the new BAE? One answer. Everybody, just short. Yes or no?
Nah.
Kisha? Yes or no? Bridget?
Maybe.
I mean, hey, baby.
He might be. Look, he might be.
So thank you, ladies, for joining us tonight. We appreciate y'all. I hope y'all laughed. I hope y'all got some nuggets. I hope y'all comment in the comment section where we can look at it, because y'all may enlighten us on some things where we like, wait a minute, I ain't thought about that. Let us know. We are not, we are unbiased, and we ain't trying to argue. We are open to see other. Listen, we millennials.
I ain't got time.
Yeah.
Too much reading.
Real tired. So y'all know we do every Friday night, ladies. We get together, we laugh, we talk about some serious things, and I hope y'all enjoyed it, and I hope y'all were able to glean from us next Friday. Hey, y'all know where we at. It's another episode of Girl Talk. I'll be here with my girls. We'll be talking about some fire topics. Y'all know how it is. It's the weekend, so y'all be safe. Y'all enjoy yourselves. Don't get caught up in those situationships. Amen. And brothers, that's the GREY BAE or whatever. We ain't hating. All we trying to do is just keep our eyes open. So y'all join us next week, next Friday, right here at ZMR Ministry, same time, me and my girls, but we keep it real, we keep it raw, and we keep it what, Bridget? Classy. Y'all have a good night. See y'all later.
Gotta keep it pushing, so let's bring it down. Get your hands, get your brains, let's do it. Get your body, get it up, now moving forward. We gotta keep it pushing. Baby, we're in my corner, so I gotta keep it pushing. Get your mind, get your brains, get your body, get it up, moving forward. We gotta keep it pushing, baby. So I gotta keep it pushing. Thought you could stop me.